Let it be any government exam, ranking, railways, whatever is out there, you need to read the NCERT. The pronunciation again, if you depending upon which YouTube channel you have opened up, the pronunciation keeps changing. I have the freedom to go and visit Pakistan. Absolutely not. Why? Conditions are different now. As much as people will say nobody should prepare for a government job, nobody should prepare for government job. The identity with a government job is what? Your life changes. Nationalism, again, when you talk about, it can either create strong loyalties versus deep hate, as we can clearly see these days in the news and all. Hello everyone, welcome to PWOLIIS English channel. How are you all doing today? So basically, last week I told you that we will be coming up with an NCERT series, and like I have already said, Harpreet sir has already posted the geography series. If you have not watched it yet, please visit the same channel. You will find the playlist there. Please start watching it. The purpose of this NCERT series is very simple. That is, normally whenever you start any preparation for any government exam, basically, that is, let it be Staff Selection Commission, let it be UPSC, let it be SSB, let it be any government exam, ranking, railways, whatever is out there, you need to read the NCERT. It's a basic cardinal rule. But again, the confusion always is, okay, from where will I start? What and all I have to read? And many a times what happens is, you get a little bored while reading NCERT. So some sentences, even though outrightly it may look very harmless, it can still end up becoming a game changer. The game changer, why I would call it a game changer, is that one particular sentence will have many underlying points in it. So that is the reason why we are coming out with this NCERT series. And this NCERT series, again, you must understand, it is based on the chapters given in the NCERT compilation, which is given for free in PWOLIIS website. There is an NCERT compilation. Those of you are still not aware of it, we have made PDFs of NCERTs, compiled, all subjects in one book. Sorry, all the classes in one book. We have done that. So that means, if you take history, it will have all the compilations of NCERT from 6th to 12th. If you are going to take economics, it will also have all the classes compiled in one single PDF. Same thing goes for polity. Polity is also compiled and you have one single PDF. You read that PDF of polity NCERT, and if you follow these lectures, NCERT polity is done. Once you finish doing that, if you are preparing for UPSC, you can now transition towards the next higher class. This is the idea behind it. So as part of this first lecture series, the first chapter what we are going to take will be political theory and key concepts. The basic fundamentals. That is what we will be looking into. But before that, just a few things to add on here. This is my official Telegram channel. You can reach out to me over here, and you can share your queries or even your answers here, which I will be reviewing. And mind you, this is only for the UPSC aspirants. Alright. Moving on. The other announcement that I want to make is, I teach public administration optional at PWOLIIS. Current batch, which has started on 30th June, is currently running. The next batch will start from November onwards. If you have decided to take a public administration as an optional, now is the time to join for it, and then November we can start our classes. Alright. So public administration, like I tell you, once you pick up that, the advantage is your polity gets done, 30 to 50% of your economic syllabus gets done, to some extent even your ethics also gets done. It is a paper which has links with almost all the chapters or almost all the papers of UPSC. Clear? So only if you are interested in it, you may pick it up, and it will be in the English language, which simply means 80% will definitely be in English. That is, the PowerPoint, explanation, etc. will be in English. Some points will be there, which again, some people, to make it understandable, we will use a little bit of Hindi. Understand, it is not an outright Hindi class nor an outright English class. It will be a mix of both. Clear? So the purpose is basically to teach public administration, not to teach English or Hindi. Please understand that very, very clearly. So even the students who are coming from the non-Hindi medium states, even you can opt for this. Don't ever fear that, oh my God, I don't understand Hindi, so I will not be able to follow the class. No. You will understand the class for the simple reason that the PowerPoint is in English. Majority of the explanation is in English. It is not that I will say some sentence in English and in Hindi I will say something else. All will be the same. Alright, it is just a translation. Moving on. The other aspect that I want to tell you people is now Independence Day is around the corner. And as usual, PW has offers for you. We are offering up to 61% discount for our Titan batches. That is for those students who are aiming for 2026 and you want your classes in pure English. No Hindi business. You want only it in pure English. Then you can take this up. Titan batches for you. This purely in English, and as of now, the price of it is 8,999. That means the entire GS foundation you will get online for just the price of 8,999. Clear, people? You can access the live classes. In case you're not able to attend the live classes, you will still have access to the recorded lectures. Coming to those people who are aiming for 2027. Let us say you are in the last year of college, or maybe in the second year, the penultimate year. If it's a 3-year graduation course, let us say you're in second year, or maybe let us say you're in the third year of your engineering. Getting the point here? So in that scenario, I would suggest you go for Pinnacle. Or if your basics is not at all thorough, you have not even started your optional, you have no clue about UPSC, you want everything right from the basic, and you want it to take a little more slower, because 2027, you still have time. If that is the case, your time with you means, my recommendation would be to go for Pinnacle batch, which will be again in complete English. 12,499 is the price of it. As of now, I teach polity and governance for the Pinnacle batch in complete English. Getting the point here, people? So that is what it is. For any other inquiries, please contact 807-117-4446. Clear? Please note down this number. Batch link is pinned comment mein hai. ठीक है? Moving on. Now another query that comes from the students is, where will we get the class notes of all these lecture series, whatever we are doing now, and especially the NCERT series? All class notes will be available free of cost on the PW app. Here you can click over here. NCERT preparation for UPSC aspirants, English. It is for free. Just you have to enroll there. That's it. Enroll for the free batch. Just give your basic details and you will get the access to it. Clear, people? To register again, click on the link provided in the description. Alright, people. So let us now visit our chapter, Political Theory and Key Concepts. Let us take it very slow. Let us take our own sweet time in understanding the fundamentals first. Polity and governance. Polity NCERT. We keep using this word every now and then, correct? From where does this word originate? Politia. I know the pronunciation again, if you depending upon which YouTube channel you have opened up, the pronunciation keeps changing. Politia, politia. Many pronunciations are there. We will as of now keep it politia because that is closer to polity. It's a Greek word which simply means structure and organization of state or city-states. How a state is organized, what is the structure of it, who is the ruler there, who are the people there, that means the ruled, of either a state or a city-state. So back then in the good old days, when kings etc. used to rule, cities used to be the centers of power, from where all the major decisions etc. were taken. You would have read about it even in your Harappa, Mohenjo-daro civilizations. There was a citadel, Harappa, then there was a lower town. Getting the point here. So cities used to be the place where maximum decisions or how the country or how the city should be run, such decisions were taken in cities. So that is how politia led to the word polity. What do you mean by politics then? So polity we understood, okay, structure and then organization. Then what do you mean by politics? It is the complex interaction for vital decision making. Vital means important. So all the important decisions, when you try to see how it is made, it is obviously through interactions. For example, government, let us say, wants to bring in one nation, one election. Central government wants to bring it. Can the central government alone decide, we will bring one nation, one election? Absolutely not. They will have to discuss it with the states. They will have to first discuss it in the parliament. Then with the states, get all of their approval, their support. Only then this can be implemented. Without that, you cannot do it. So in other words, major decisions, whatever we see, it comes out of what? Interactions. And those interactions which leads to decision making, that is what you call politics. For societal harmony and progress, politics is necessary. Even though many of us actually think whenever we talk about politics, we don't get a happy image. Oh wow, politics. We generally feel politics. Everybody are thieves. Everybody are criminals. That is how we generally tend to view it. But as much as we have that negative opinion on politics, the reality is it is really necessary for ensuring harmony and progress of the society. Without that, the country will not move forward. Take any country. Any country, even the single party country like China, or a multi-party country like India, or only two-party country like USA, any country you take, you are having politics. Forget country. Even when we talk about family, there also you have politics. You talk about office, there also we have politics. We keep using that word, office politics. Correct? Family politics. Why? Because decisions needs to be made. Be it inside office, be it inside a family, be it within a nation, you require it. Why? For harmony and progress. Apart from that, once the next thing associated with politics, when I tell politics, the next word that will probably pop in your mind is what? Government. Correct? Can government stay away from politics? Absolutely not. Why? Because if politics ensures harmony and development, what is the job of the government? To ensure harmony and development. Harmony, when I say understand, it means peace, restoring order, maintaining law and order and peace in the society, and obviously progress of the society. Correct? That is why politics and government are linked together. Clear till this much? Politics, government. All right. Let us take it up a step further forward. What do you mean by government? It is an integral part of the human group. Correct? That is human beings coming together and deciding upon a system by which government can be formed. A system. It can be any system. But they are deciding, okay, this is the system we will follow. And they will make a government there. Contribute to societal organization and functioning. Correct? Society gets organized here. So even when you look at our country, you have a central government, you have state government, you have local government through panchayats and municipalities. Right? It affects people's lives, no doubt about it. That is government, when they decided, okay, those who are earning up to 12 lakhs as income, you don't have to pay the tax. We were like, thank God. Correct? It affects our lives. But at the same time, if petrol prices and diesel prices goes above 100, we don't find it happy at all. We don't find it, oh, this is such a wonderful news. No, we actually feel sad. Or if caramel popcorns becomes expensive inside a theater, we become even more sad. Not everybody likes the salt and cheese popcorns, correct? That is the point here. That is, government basically decides on the taxes. Government basically decides on what type of policies they need to focus on. So that is the reason why it will affect our lives. And finally, when you talk about government, how does government influence society? They influence society through policies, regulations, decisions. Regulations basically means like laws, the do's and the don'ts. How much tax you have to pay, how much money you need to, what is it? You need to pay your GST on time. All these things. Policies may involve, especially, let us say, you want to target the poor section of the society. People who don't have access to food. You have National Food Security Mission. People who are struggling to access healthcare services. For that, you have Ayushman Bharat. Or people who don't even have a bank account. We have Prime Minister Jan Dhan Yojana. So like that, different policies are there. Then obviously it will have decisions. Demonetization. A pure and pure executive decision. It was not discussed with anybody, neither with the opposition. Why? The government didn't even discuss it, even within their own party. In their own political party also nobody knew about it. Or when we talk about Article 370 abrogation, it was a decision, an executive decision. Alright, so please understand one thing. When you say executive decision, executive, you'll keep hearing this word. That means government, when you say they do what? They are an executing body. Means to get things done. That is what it is when you say executive. So tomorrow when I say you are all going to be part of the executive, what does that mean? You are all going to be part of the government. Correct? You become an IAS officer, you become an IPS officer, you become an IRS officer, you are all part of what? The government. And that is why within executive there are two definitions again. One is political executive. The other is permanent executive. Political executive simply means they are temporary, consisting of your MLAs and MPs. Why are they temporary? Because there is no guarantee that they will win the next election. Correct? There is no guarantee. Anything can happen in an election, especially in Indian election. Highly unpredictable. The next is what? Permanent executive. Permanent executive, who are these officers? All of you. All of you who will clear the government exam and get into the service. Maybe as IAS officer, IPS officer, central government group A officer, or maybe even a state government group A officer, group B officer, group C, whatever. All these are part of permanent executive. Why permanent executive? Because until and unless you commit a Himalayan blunder, nobody can remove you from the job. It's more or less permanent until the day you retire. Correct? Hope you got the meaning here. Moving on. Political theories. So let us try to understand this flowchart now. Political theories, why studying it is important. Study of political theories helps in developing or understanding foundational ideas of government, society, and individual lives. Correct? You get a clear idea about how an individual is functioning, how society is functioning, how government is functioning. Like I told you earlier, in USA you only have two parties there. One is Republican, one is the Republican Party, other is the Democratic Party. Finished. Whereas in India, if you start counting, there will be no end to it. Got the point here? So understanding political theory helps you understand the foundational values of individuals, society, government. Then political theories explores enduring values and guiding policies. What do you mean by enduring values? Endure. To endure, endurance means your ability to withstand. Whatever negativity comes into your life, your ability to withstand it, that is endurance. Enduring values, when you say, it simply means these values are timeless. So there are certain values what we also have in our society, maybe right from the Vedic time period onwards. Some values are there which needs to be protected. Like for example, tolerance. So tolerance is something, or tolerance to other cultures is something which is an intrinsic part of the Indian society. Nowhere in the world you will find a society like Indian society. Isn't it not true? This is one country where you will find all types of religions coexisting. Yes, definitely there are issues. We are not at all ruling it out. Because within family, the same family you have issues means, imagine a country filled with so much of diversity. You are bound to have issues. But overall, if you see, one enduring value of Indian society is what? Tolerance. That is, I may not understand what your culture is. I may not understand what your religion is. I may not understand what your caste is. But I respect it. I will not disrespect it. It is your belief. It is your system. Fine. Well and good. Go ahead and practice it. Getting the point here. Other one is what? Guiding policies. That means through political theory, if you actually, through political theory, you can explore what type of policies you need to implement. So like I told you, in our country, basically 81 crore people are dependent on the government for their ration. 81 crore. When 81 crore is dependent on the government for food, that clearly tells us what? We have to make our policies welfare based. Welfare of the poor, welfare of the lower castes, welfare of women. Correct. Political theories addresses contemporary issues. Contemporary issues means current issues. And it provides ideas and frameworks to deal with those issues. Gives us ideas, gives us a framework like how to deal with such things. What is the best way to ensure that equality is ensured in the society? What is the best way to ensure that the poor are brought up in their life? All of this you can understand through what? Through political theories. Got the point here? Moving on. So, the foundation of political system, if you see, it is built on three values: democracy, freedom, equality. Our political system, you have democracy, freedom, and equality. Clear? These three. Freedom, equality, and justice. These three things are context dependent. What does that mean? Freedom, equality, and justice are context dependent. Means it is not that everybody will have freedom, everybody will get justice, everybody will get equal treatment. No. It is all dependent on the context. That means, now very recently we had Operation Sindoor. Correct? And it is still ongoing. It is not over yet, at least according to the government. It is still ongoing. Military is still in a high state of alert, especially across our western borders. This is a fact. So can right now a citizen say that he wants to go to Pakistan? He wants to visit there. Will it be easy? Can he say it is my freedom? I have the freedom to go and visit Pakistan? Absolutely not. Why? Conditions are different now. It is no more, the relationship with Pakistan is going down day by day. And with the current nuclear threat also what they have put up against us, we are not going to entertain any more friendly relationships until Pakistan learns to behave. Correct? Equality. 81 crore people are going hungry. That is why they are dependent on the government for food. Now I am paying the tax, income tax. Can I go and demand to the government, give me also the food? You are giving it to 81 crore, give me also? No. When you talk about equality, it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody will be treated equally at all the times. No. Equal people will be treated equally. So I am a taxpayer. I will be treated as similar to another taxpayer only. Not to somebody, not with somebody. That is, my comparison will not be made with somebody who is dependent on the government of India for their ration. Got the point here? So I will be treated along with what? Somebody who is paying the tax. Not my comparison will not be similar to somebody who is dependent on government of India for their food. Justice, same meaning. It all depends upon what? The context. What context it is. So freedom, equality and justice basically influences the human as well as the social nature. And these are all context dependent. Correct? All three will have an influence on this. Social nature again means how you socialize. That is your interaction with other people of your country. Clear, people? Moving on. Freedom. When you talk about freedom, what does it mean? First meaning is absence of external constraints. That is, nothing is being imposed on you. Do whatever you like. No, nothing is stopping you. No barriers, no walls, no restrictions. This is connoted as negative liberty. It's the opposite meaning. It is negative liberty. Why negative liberty? Because there is no restriction. There is no restriction here. Other version of freedom is what? Expansion of opportunities for self-expression, which is positive liberty. That is, negative liberty means what? There is no restriction. Positive liberty means what? I am giving you the opportunity to express yourself so that you can become a better individual, a better citizen, etc. Negative liberty and positive liberty. Let us quickly understand the difference. First one, negative liberty, it is an inviolable area. Inviolable area. What does that mean? Inviolable area means in that particular domain, nobody can touch it. Neither the government, nor the judiciary, nor the cops, nobody can touch it. That is what negative liberty's first feature is. It is an inviolable area. You cannot take it away. For example, my right to life. You cannot take it away. You can take it away only what? Under a procedure established by law. That is, if I commit some serious crime, some against the sovereignty of the country, I commit a big crime. I do a terror activity. Then yes, I can be given capital punishment as per the procedure written in law. But otherwise, nobody can touch it. I am writing a poem. Can anybody stop me from that? No. I want to direct a movie. Can anybody stop me from that? No. I want to, let us say, write a screenplay. Can anybody stop me from that? No. That is the meaning of negative liberty. That means there is a freedom here. There is a freedom. There is a space around me where I can do whatever I want. That is the idea there. Nobody can interfere. Boundaries defined for personal autonomy. The next thing, that is, because it's an inviolable area, how much is inviolable? That is the next question, right? So let us say I want to do dance. I am doing it in my home. Who cares? Nobody will care. My home, my space. But let us say people are waiting for a train. People are waiting for a bus. And right when the crowd is there, in middle of it all, I am doing a Instagram reel. Badal barsa ki choli. All that. Can I do that? Absolutely not. Why? First of all, where am I standing? I am standing in a public area. It is not a private area. Where I am standing, there are certain rights that I can do there, that are allowed to me. I can stand, I can sit, I can wait, I can walk. Not that I start shooting a reel or I start scaring people in the name of pranks, etc. Those things I cannot do. Because under negative liberty, there is a clear boundary for my personal space. I can sit there and eat, I can drink water, I can maybe even talk to somebody. That is, there are limits here. In the sense of boundary. the do's and don'ts. That is, what is the boundary that is available to you? What level of freedom is given to you? Complemented by personal liberty. Sorry, positive liberty. Let us see positive liberty in a while. Broader social issues remain unaddressed. Why? See, here under negative liberty, it is mostly to do with what an individual is allowed to do. That is, individual freedom is the larger focus under negative liberty. It doesn't talk about the societal issues, social inequality, the social evils like, let us say, dowry. Doesn't talk about any of those. It just talks about that boundary within which an individual can express himself or herself with full freedom without imposing anything on them. That is, there is nothing stopping them. Positive liberty. Conditions conducive to individual growth. Here, conditions are mentioned that will help in what? The individual to grow. What are the conditions allowed for individual growth? So let us say now for individual growth, many people actually believe it also, unfortunately, that when you take narcotics, you can go into sixth sense, achieve meditation, etc., which is totally fake and false. So tomorrow, let us say I go to the government and say, hello, I want to achieve nirvana. Let me have ganja. Can I do that? Absolutely not. Personal growth also, when you say to create conducive to individual growth, means, again, there are only those conditions which will allow the individual to grow. Only them. Not which will harm the individual or harm the society. That we will not allow. Environment for individual development. Create an environment. That is, you create an environment where you can express yourself. Like I told you, you can make reels. Not a problem. Do it inside your home. Supports negative liberty. How does it support negative liberty? Because negative liberty puts a boundary first. Within this boundary, I can do whatever badal barsa kicholi I can do. Correct? So the boundary is there. Within that boundary, inside my home, I can express myself, which is positive liberty. Got the point here? Inside my home, positive liberty, I can exercise as much as I want. Negative liberty puts up a boundary. A boundary around you will be there, where you can express, but a limit is there. Outside, a boundary is there for you. Within that boundary, I can do whatever I want. That is, I can even stretch my arm. To put it bluntly, I can stretch my arm. I can stretch it to what extent? Till the tip of the nose of another individual. Till there I can stretch it. I cannot touch it. The moment I touch it, what happens? I am interfering with another person's rights. Their freedom. So a boundary is there under negative liberty within which I can express myself. And that expression, that self-expression or self-development is nothing but positive liberty. Prone to manipulation. Why this is prone to manipulation? Because the self is the main key here. That is, it is all for individual development, self-development, whatever. This particular part of liberty, that is, okay, I want to express myself. This is the way I am expressing myself in this name. Public can be easily manipulated. Dictators, Saddam Hussein, Muammar Gaddafi, Adolf Hitler. So all these people, if you see, what have they been trying to do? In that they have been using their freedom to express, and slowly they have used that freedom to what? To control an entire country. Stretching it one by one. Okay, I am taking away your this right. You cannot do this. You cannot do that. Slowly they were imposing these on other people. What were they doing? They were expressing themselves. Hitler also went through individual growth. Saddam Hussein also went through individual development. But in that process, what happened was they took the control of an entire country. Clear? What are the constraints to freedom? What are the restrictions on freedom? One is external domination. It could be from a government. Government itself. Government is telling, hello, You cannot do this. Government authority. What do you mean by that? So government authority means it can be, if it is a democratic government, putting constraints is good. That is, restrictions is good. It is good for peaceful plus functional society. Like I told you, the government tomorrow passes a law. One cannot make reels in public spaces without permission. Let us say government passes a law. Is it good or bad? Definitely good. Why? Public space it is. In a public space, I cannot utilize the space as if it is my home. I cannot do that. So it is necessary for a peaceful and a functioning society. Judicious implementation of constraints. That is, some restrictions you have to keep. Some restrictions. You cannot simply go on to do anything and everything that you want, which is good. This is good. When will it become bad? When the government authority is, let us say, based on dictatorship. Or maybe whatever the type of government is there right now in Afghanistan, where they basically told that if your kitchen is there at the ground floor, if your kitchen is at the ground floor of your house, and if a woman is cooking inside, if that woman is visible from outside, means you should cover the window. That is a rule there. Because the woman should not be visible from outside. From outside, when anybody looks at your home, the women inside the home should not be visible from outside. So cover all the windows. Number 3, social inequality. That means, now we know in any society, there are rich people, there are poor people. Correct? And then there are people who are, let us say, backward. Correct? So we need to actually bring them forward, bring them up along with the other people. So for that purpose, some constraints can be kept. Some restrictions can be kept. Let us say I'm giving reservation policy, or I am giving scholarships. So that is a restriction on the freedom, right? See, reservation policy simply means what? I am restricting the general category. That is what it simply means. Somewhere the general category has to perform more compared to the reserved category. Correct? So that is automatically a restriction. Economic inequality or disparity. What does that mean? Again, in a society, you are bound to have people who are very rich and who are very poor. How do I solve that problem? I take money from the rich and I give it to the poor. Distributive justice. Distributing equally. Got the picture here? So these are the 4 reasons why you need to place what? Some or the other constraints in freedom. Moving on. Ultimately, what is the conclusion now? Freedom and constraints. That is restrictions. This needs to be balanced. Normal times, what happens is everybody can enjoy freedom. Abnormal times, there will be constraints. And in India, you basically call them reasonable restrictions. The freedom, whatever we enjoy in our country, is basically ensured through fundamental rights. Alright. But no fundamental right in our country is absolute. Right to freedom of speech and expression. You are working for the government, let us say, and you criticize the government and post an article in your YouTube or in your Facebook or any social media platform. Depending upon how severe is the criticism made by you, you can get a transfer, maybe a suspension. And if your comment created some serious law and order issue or the government itself collapsed, you can even get removed from the service. That is what it is. So there are restrictions. Got the point? And any society is all about balancing the freedom and your restrictions. Clear? In India, the restrictions placed on fundamental rights are called reasonable restrictions. That means on what grounds these restrictions are placed, it is clearly defined. For example, again, I don't know how many of you would have heard of this. Pegasus. It's a spy software to actually spy on WhatsApp conversations. Now, spying, when you talk about, that is, I want to spy on your WhatsApp messages. That means clearly what am I doing there? I am violating your freedom there. Correct? I am violating your liberty there. But what did the Supreme Court say? Supreme Court basically said that if it is in the interest of national security, what is wrong in using Pegasus? In other words, wherever national security is concerned, fundamental rights will take a lower seat. That is, if the government has to choose between national security and fundamental rights of an individual, they will go with national security only. They are not going to worry about, oh, it violated that fundamental right, it violated this fundamental right. Absolutely not. That is the reason why when you read your Lakshmikant later also, or even as we progress in the subsequent chapters, you will come across sentences like, no fundamental right is absolute. Got the point here? Reasonable restrictions can be placed on them. Clear? Now let us basically see John Stuart Mill's harm principle. All right. Boundaries of state interference in individual action, self-regarding, other-regarding. Means what? At what point state can be allowed to interfere? Two theories he gives. One is self-regarding, other one is other-regarding. That is, according to John Stuart Mill, if I am doing something which is where only I am going to be affected, whatever it is, only I am going to be affected means state shouldn't intervene. That is, I am the one, right? But if I am going to do something which will affect other people's lives, then state should interfere. Harm principle. That is, if my actions are only going to harm me, state need not interfere. Let us say smoking. I am sitting at home and I am smoking. I don't smoke, by the way. I'm sitting at home and smoking. Can the government come and tell cigarette smoking is injurious to health? No. Inside your home, you are smoking, your lungs, your cigarette, your money. Do whatever you want. But let us say I am smoking in a public space. Now government will interfere because smoking in public space or in public areas are punishable offense or is a punishable offense. Clear? Protection of freedom. Legal constraints and the restrictions should be reasonable. That means John Stuart Mill's harm principle basically advocates what? To protect the freedom. That is, my freedom should be protected. Similarly, another individuals also should be protected. And for that reason, you need to have what? You need to have limits placed. And these limits placed should be what? Reasonable. Like I told you, cars have to drive on the road. People have to walk on the footpath. If the other ulta happens, cars are driving on the footpath, people are walking on the road, it won't work. Getting the point here? Freedom. From absence of external constraints to recognizing it as expression of our ability to make choices. Choice is responsibility for outcome. So what is freedom? Freedom means absence of external constraints. That is, no limit is there. To recognizing it as expression of our ability to make choices. That is what freedom's evolution is. There is no restriction. Plus, we have the freedom to make choices. We can choose. Nobody is asking us to do anything. You are completely free to choose. And along with the choice what you make, any choice comes with what? Consequence or outcome for which all of us are responsible. So ultimately, we cannot blame, oh, the government is like this, oh, that person did this person did this. We are all responsible for our choices and the consequences that comes thereof. Got it? Moving on. Liberalism. What do you mean by liberalism? Liberalism, simple and most important meaning is tolerance. To what extent you are ready to tolerate. Defend individuals' right to express diverse opinions and beliefs. That is, liberalism simply means you can have a different opinion. You can have a different belief. Totally opposite to mine. And you are entitled to it. You are right to have such beliefs and thoughts. I will do whatever is necessary to defend it also. That is the point here. You can have a totally different opinion, a totally different idea or belief. Different from mine, but I will defend it. I will defend your right to have a different belief, have a different thought. Personal choice over collectivism. That is, liberalism actually advocates what? Personal choice. Like for example, these days, many women we will hear, especially celebrities, making this statement: my body, my choice. I will do whatever I want with it. If I want to have a tattoo, I will have it. If I want to wear a certain type of cloth, I will wear it. If I don't want to have a baby, I won't have a baby. I will have an abortion. If I don't want to marry, I will not marry. It is my choice, my body. I get to decide what I have to do with it. Very simple, very elementary. Over collectivism. Why? What do you mean by collectivism? See, Indian society, when you take, it is actually based on collectivism. Means what? Whatever you want to wear, whomever you want to marry, which course you have to study, which job you have to get into, that is not decided by the individual. It is actually decided by an entire family and maybe a larger society. Society has given us certain kind of set rules in our country, whereby which if you're a doctor, if you're an engineer, or if you're in government job, then you are good, then you are successful. Every other job is basically looked down upon, or they are seen as a failure. Correct? That is how ideally it is. Personal choice or liberalism, when you talk about, this is something which you generally get to see in Western societies, where individual is important. Not what the society thinks, not what the family thinks. There is more of individual freedom there. Minimum state intervention. State will not interfere in anything. You do whatever you want. That is the idea there. Even in Western societies, you generally see that trend. State will largely stay away from everything. Championed free markets. So liberalism simply means you can do whatever you want as long as you are not affecting another individual's freedom. So championed free markets means in a liberal society, you will have a high number of what? Private players. The economy will be dominated by private players and very less by the state. Best example, USA. Minimal government you are having as we progress year on year. That means don't be surprised in the future if NASA gets completely shut down. It's very much possible. NASA will get completely shut down and basically the entire US government will basically decide, let us depend on private players to launch our satellites. Or maybe who knows, they may even come to ISRO to launch their satellites. That is the idea there. Contemporary liberalism, the current meaning of liberalism, if you see, it is a combination of welfare state plus measures to reduce social inequality and economic inequality. SI is social inequality, EI is economic inequality. That means today liberalists also believe that you have to do certain things, certain measures like Ayushman Bharat, National Food Security Mission, MG Narega, to actually uplift the poor. Plus, reduce the social inequalities between the castes. Reduce the economic inequalities, rich and the poor. Hope everything is clear till here. Moving on now. Equality. Equal value for all individuals. The basic principle of equality, when you see, it is based on that foundation that every human being has to be treated equally, irrespective of their race, caste, religion, sex, whatever, where they come from, what language they speak. None of that matters. Every human being should be treated equally. Liberty, equality, fraternity. Three principles which we have inherited from the French Revolution. Liberty, like we saw earlier, it means freedom. Equality means, like I told you, treat everybody equally. Fraternity, when you talk about, it means brotherhood. It means brotherhood. So, when you talk about equality, no discussion will be complete without talking about inequality. And inequality, again, there are two types. One is natural inequality, the other is social inequality, what is induced by the society. So, let us understand this now. Natural inequality, when you say, it is like based on abilities and talents. It is true. Some of us have certain abilities. Even though when we say all are equal, definitely Sachin Tendulkar and A.R. Rahman, when you talk about, totally different. Correct? One is a expert when it comes to music. Other one, literally very good with his bat. Correct? Unalterable. Generally, the talent or whatever skill a person has, you cannot alter it. You can improve it. But generally, it is unalterable. Whatever inherent talent or abilities you have, you can differentiate it easily. And there will be some element of fairness and unfairness also. You can easily differentiate what is fair and unfair. That is, point is, okay, whoever is good in cricket will join the cricket team. Whoever is good in dance, maybe go take part in the culturals. Like that it is. So there is a clear idea why somebody has been selected for something. Everybody knows it. What is the reason behind it? Last one, advancement, challenge, fixed capability. What advancement are we talking about here? We are talking about technological advancement. So through technology, can you enhance your skill? To an extent, yes. Even though the text says that is not possible to that level, to an extent you can do it. Because, say for example, even when you're talking about batting, even when you're talking about singing, dancing, etc., using technology, you can find out what particular part of your talent or ability you need to improve now, so that your quality improves. You can find it. You can find it to some extent. Maybe a bowling action, maybe the way you are playing the piano, etc., or maybe the way you have composed the music. You can use technology to enhance things to a certain extent. What about socially induced inequality? It is unequal opportunities or exploitation. Simple meaning. Unequal opportunities or exploitation means what? There, opportunities are not equal, and some people are getting exploited based on their caste, color, region, religion, etc. It is pretty much alterable. Correct? Social inequalities is alterable. If a person becomes crack civil service, doesn't matter what background he or she comes from. As much as people will say nobody should prepare for a government job, the identity with a government job is what? Your life changes. The way of living changes. That is the idea. Number 3, not clear-cut power dynamics. Means what? Can you differentiate? Can you actually differentiate social inequalities? Can you actually find out where society is showing inequality? No. You cannot. Simplest example for it. When we meet a person, we ask them, what do you do? Why? Why that question is being asked? It is basically to decide how much respect should be given to that person. Now, let us say somebody says, I work as a cab driver, I work as a security. Automatically, we will bring down our level of respect when we talk to that individual, because we'll automatically think what? Need not give that level of respect. But let us say somebody says, I'm a owner of this business, etc., etc. I own this, that, etc. So what happens there? You start giving more respect. This is inherently present in the society. Inherently it is there. So it is not so easy to find it out. Medical progress. That is, can technology be used for improving access? Yes, especially for people who are handicapped. Technology can be used, thereby reduce their social inequalities. Correct. For them, you can use it. Not the ones based on caste or gender or region or religion or language. Clear? Political equality, social equality, economic equality. Political equality in a natural inequality setting. Political equality will ensure what? Everybody have same political rights. Right to vote, right to participate in election, etc. But when it comes to a socially induced inequality or social inequality, the law will be there to treat everybody equally. But ultimately, it won't do such a great job in addressing the inequalities. Like what is there in our country? There are fundamental rights. Everybody has the right to vote. Everything is available. But do everybody really get to enjoy it is the question. Do everybody get to enjoy it? No. That is also a reality. So, social inequalities continues to remain unaddressed. When the political equality is there. Once political equality is achieved, the next is what? Social equality. And in a natural inequality-induced environment, it will address socio-economic disparities. Means, it will try to what? Reduce the inequalities whatever are there socially and economically. But in a society where social inequality is very high, how do you do it? Disparities are there. Inequality is very high. I need to reduce it now. How do I do it? Through the principle of social equality. Well, I keep schemes. For health, let us say Ayushman Bharat. For education, I have new education policy or right to education under Article 21A. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao scheme. Economic equality. Economic equality, when we talk about it in a natural inequality society, economic equality will try to do what? Reduce the differences in wealth. In a socially induced inequality system, what it will try to do? It will try to reduce the entrenched inequalities. Means everybody knows who is rich here. Everybody knows who is poor here. But we have to bring it down. We cannot allow the rich to get richer and the poor to get poorer. So you have specific schemes targeting the poor. Jan Dhan Yojana account, direct benefit transfer, Aadhaar enabled payment system, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. Why are we giving all these schemes? Basically to ensure that the socially backward people are able to come up in life. Clear? Moving on. Attributes of equality. Two attributes are there. One is feminism, the other is socialism. Socialism simply means majority of the work will be taken care by government. Very little will be taken care by private. Response to inequalities of industrial capitalist economy. That is industrial capitalist economy. That is when industrial revolution took place. What ended up happening was, whoever were the owners of these industries, they started making more money. And the workers of the factories or these industries, they were paid peanuts, very, very less money. So as a reaction to it, socialism as an idea came into being. Distribute resources justly. That is the fundamental idea behind socialism. That is, give more to the poor people, give less to the rich people. That is the basic idea here. Not equal distribution, just distribution based on justice. Last point, not entirely opposed to market. Doesn't mean that socialism is totally against private players. No. But private players will be limited and they will basically have a very less role there. Best example for that is Indian economy from 1951 to 1991. More details of it, you will probably read about it in your Indian economic NCERT series. What about feminism? Feminism basically advocates what idea? It is telling that social inequalities between genders are neither natural nor necessary. That is when we say that man has a role to do, women has a role to do, man has to go out and work, woman has to stay at home. Feminists are against this idea, or feminism is against this idea. Feminism is basically asking who said all this. Agreed, woman is giving birth to a child, but doesn't mean that a man shouldn't take care of his baby. Agreed, man can go out and work. So, you must also allow a woman to go and work. So basically they challenge the traditional patriarchy. What is there in society? Patriarchy simply means all the opportunities, economic, educational, even access to resources, everything remains with men. Men will decide what a woman should get. Feminism is dead against that idea. Feminism is not at all in favor of it. Feminism is dead against patriarchy and talks about two definitions here, sex and gender. Sex is basically the biological contrast, difference between man and a woman biologically. Gender is defines the societal roles. That is, woman means take care of the child, be at home. Man means you can have a career, be independent, go out. So they don't agree to this. That is why you will always hear gender reversals. You will never hear sex reversal. Sex you cannot reverse, to be honest. Man is a man, woman is a woman. Biological meaning I'm talking about. Gender roles needs to be changed means there is nothing wrong if a man is in the kitchen and cooking food. There is nothing wrong if a man is folding clothes. There is nothing wrong if a man is cleaning. If it is all fine for a woman to do all of this, it is also fine for a man to do all of the same work. That is the idea here. Clear? How do you promote equality? 1. Through affirmative action. 2. Differential treatment. 3. Formal equality or equality before the law. Formal equality or equality before the law means what? Everybody will be treated equally. That is what it means. What do you mean by differential treatment? Some people are very poor. You will give them special treatment. Some are very rich. So you will not go and issue a ration card to Ambani or Adani. Correct? You will only give it to the 81 crore people who are dependent on the government of India for food. Affirmative action means you are specifically taking an action to uplift the poor, to bring them up. It is basically between what? Article 15 to 18 is called what? Right to equality. That is, right to equality is ensured in our constitution, or equality is promoted in our country, in our constitution, under the articles 15 to 18. This is what it means. Getting the point here. As part of affirmative action, I can make certain discriminations. For SC, ST, I can keep, and OBC, I can put reservation because of their socio-economic backwardness. Got the point here? For economically weaker sections within the general category, I can make reservation. That is allowed. Based on what? Economic backwardness. All these are affirmative action to bring them up. Or otherwise it is sometimes even known as positive discrimination. Because your discrimination, the discrimination is basically done. The positive discrimination is basically done for what? Reducing the social inequality, reducing the economic inequality. That is the purpose behind it. Clear? Moving on. Affirmative action, the pros and cons. What are the advantages of affirmative action? First of all, rectify the historic inequalities. We know it for a fact that the OBCs, the SCs, the STs especially were ill treated in the past. All right. So to rectify it, we are doing it. Number two, it is inclusive and a representative society. Correct? That is, when you put these reservations also, what is the advantage there? The SC community, the ST community, the OBC community, when they are able to take part in the events, what happens at a national level. Temporary measure to overcome disadvantage. That is the next thing to remember. The reservation policies or whatever, scholarships, etc. you are giving, these are all supposed to be only temporary, not permanent. It is only till the point where their mostly their economic conditions change. Just and equitable society. Again, it will lead to what? A society where justice is meted out to all the communities and everybody are treated equitably. Equitable and equal. There is a difference. Equal means, let us say there is a race. There is a running race. I am competing with a guy who is only having one leg. I am having two legs. Running race it is. I am competing with a guy who is having only one leg. Is it fair? Sorry, is it equitable? No. But is it equal? Yes. Same laws for both of us. Same laws. Equality means what? Same treatment for everybody. So no special consideration for him, even though he is only having one leg. Principle of equity tells us what? Principle of equity tells us, okay, to make the race equal, let us say the guy who is handicapped, we are going to fit him with a robotic leg. A robotic leg which will give him the same strength, same speed as a normal leg, as his normal leg. Now it is equal. Now it is equitable. Getting the point here? So earlier the race was unequal because I have both the legs, he only has one leg. So there was equality, but no equity. No special consideration was given for him. No affirmative action was also taken for him. But by fitting a robotic leg, what happened? Principle of equity is achieved. Now he is with my same level. Now we can conduct the race. Got it? Let us see what are the cons of affirmative action. Contradicts the principle of equality. Correct, right? Now if you generally ask any general candidate student, most of them will not be happy with the reservation policy. Correct? Can't blame them also because competition is very high there. They don't get the benefit of coming under lesser income or anything. They don't get any benefit. That is the moment you are from a upper caste, until and unless your income is very low, there is no chance that you are going to get any reservation benefit. They will always feel this is not equality. This is injustice. How is it that some people are getting reservation and we are not getting it? They will feel that. More qualified but disadvantaged get the benefit. This is very, very true, right? Within OBC community or within SC/ST community, the people who are already getting the advantage of reservation, they keep getting it again and again and again and again. Whereas the ones who have no clue about it, they don't even know that there is a reservation policy. They don't even know that they can get a caste and an income certificate. They will never get the benefit of it. Number 3, it will create further division in the society. Pretty much true. Reservation policy, if you actually see, has only created an angst and frustration in society. I'm not telling everyone is having angst and frustration, but at least a section of the society is actually like what? Oh, this because of this reservation. That is how they react. They are not worried about the historic injustice and all. They are like, why? I didn't do it. My family didn't do it. Why are they being given reservation? This is how they act. So in other words, there is a division created. Last one, underlying issues are rarely addressed. Just because you are giving reservation doesn't mean that all the underlying issues are not there. That is, caste is still important in our country. From marriages to politics, everywhere caste is a dominating factor. How much ever affirmative action you do, it is not solving the problem. Clear? Moving on. Social justice. The meaning of justice. What do you mean by justice? Social, fine, we know. Social justice means what? Justice meaning has changed from retribution or punishment to reformation. Retribution or punishment simply means revenge. Somebody killed, let us say, 100 years ago. A king's wife was killed. So what does the king do? King goes and kills the other king's wife. Over. Or somebody stole something. So what do? You punish him. Today, that is no more the meaning. It is about reformation. That is, you are giving the opportunity for the individual to reform, to have a change of heart and bring them back to society. Justice is not about revenge. Justice is not about punishment. It is always about what? Reformation. The person who committed the crime should understand what they did was wrong. That was not the right thing to do. That is the concept behind justice. But when you talk about social justice, it simply has only one meaning: just distribution. That means you will take from the person who is having more and you'll give it to the person who is having less. Principles of justice: equal treatment for equals. Like I told you, first of all, putting a race with me and a handicapped individual, that is not equal. So social justice principle says what? I should compete with people who are having all their limbs intact. The handicapped individual should actually compete with whom? With similar individuals. That is why you have a Paralympics. Then you have Olympics. Recognition of special needs. You recognize each community or each individual special needs, what it is, you recognize it. Then you have proportional justice, which means what? A balance between equal treatment and proportionality. Equal treatment and proportionality. What is that? Say for example, now I want to treat all of you equal. We all want to treat you. All the students who are listening to the class, we want to treat you equally. But then there are a certain set of students who are doing very well in the tests. Very well. Every test they are scoring, they are very regular in writing the answers, etc. So we want to give them a reward. Because they are very regular. They are highly disciplined, highly focused. So we want to give some special attention on them. Is it correct? Absolutely yes. Why? Principle of proportionality. One who is performing, give them a reward. One who is not performing, punish them. Simple. Getting the point here. Everybody will be treated equally. But one who is performing more should be rewarded. One who is not at all performing should be punished. Pursuing justice. How do you pursue it? Confronting iniquities in money and power. Whatever differences are there in money and power, first of all, identify it. Just society do not seek full equality. That is the first thing to understand. Just society does not mean full equality you can achieve. No, that is not the purpose. Then what is the purpose? It ensures the fundamental conditions for living healthy, secure lives with equal chances. Healthy, mental and physical. Secure lives. That means you have a job, you have a house, all of that. You have food, clothing, shelter, all of that. With equal chances. Equal chances means you have the same chance to go and write the exam. You have the same chance to go and pursue a profession of your choice. All of this. At the heart of pursuing justice is the fundamental things that you are having access to food, you are having access to education, you are having access to housing. Basic things. John Rawls' Veil of Ignorance. So John Rawl talks about in his theory of justice about the veil of ignorance. What does that veil of ignorance mean? Veil of ignorance means now when I am meeting you, I only probably will ask what is your name. Correct? I am not going to judge you whether you are a student from UP or whether you are a student from the state of Tamil Nadu. Nothing. You are a student ultimately for me. I am not going to give you any preference whatsoever based on your state, language, religion, caste, sex, etc. I am going to judge you purely on the basis of what? Your merit. That is veil of ignorance. That is, I don't care what is your background. What is your social status? Who is your father? Oh, how powerful he is or she is, and how they are connected with the top brass. I don't care. So, veil of ignorance is the fundamental element required to ensure justice in a society. Because if that is brought in, automatically what happens? Every individual gets judged on the basis of their merit. And as in such a society, all are just individuals. Even the whole idea of coming and touching pranam, guru's feet, even that is not there. That is also not there. I will respect you, agreed, but I am not going to fall on your feet. You also need not fall on my feet. We are all individuals here. You do good work, I will talk with you. You are doing bad work, I will not talk with you. It has got nothing to do with your background. Got the point here, people? So let us quickly see the difference between free market and state intervention. Free market, like I told you, basically it supports individualism. There is nothing about welfare. Let us take care of the poor. No. You are talented, you are capable, go ahead and make money. Whereas in state intervention, there is a clear idea we are not going to allow exploitation. We will focus on the poor. We will focus on the disadvantaged. Distribution of benefits. The distribution is through unregulated markets. Means what? You are able to make more money, make. Whereas in government, it is highly based on societal factors. Societal factors means the one who is the most poor. That is, we have SC, we have ST, but then we again have particularly vulnerable tribal groups, PVTG. Specifically focusing them, we have schemes. Then, what is the modern perspective here? Some amount of regulation is good, partial regulation. You cannot allow them to do anything and everything. Because what if they destroy the environment? What is the modern perspective here? It is unequal treatment. You cannot have equal treatment here in a society where state intervention is there. You are bound to give what? Unequal treatment there. You are not going to treat the rich and the poor in the same way. What about access to services? In a free market economy, you will have more number of choices. But it is not necessary that it will be affordable. Whereas in a state economy, the focus is affordability. That everybody should be able to access it. Then, what about the quality of the services? Quality is very good in free market, no doubt about it, but the cost is very high. Whereas in state intervened market, it is basically what? Societal power dynamics. Societal power dynamics simply means people who are already well connected, rich, or maybe in positions of power, they get quality services. That is, for example, when Sri Lanka, when people went inside Sri Lankan president's house, they found out that there was an AC fit inside the bathroom. AC inside the bathroom. Have you ever heard of it? That is the scenario. Then, social equality. Social equality, when you talk about, in a free market economy, it is unequal, with benefits largely concentrated on the wealthy and the powerful. Whereas in state intervened economies or markets, you generally have equal access to service. Rich and the poor, they have access to all the services. Here it is what? Only the wealthy and the powerful get the best services. They access to all the best services out there. Clear? Law and social justice. How through law you can ensure social justice? One example is minimum wage. Pass a law for minimum wage so that below that you cannot make a payment to any labor or any employee out there. Right against exploitation, which is given in our constitution. What about law and environment? Up to 1984, we did not have any specific law addressing environment. And then we had the Bhopal gas tragedy. Again, it is a sad state of affairs in our country that it took more than 40 years just to remove the toxic waste from that area where the tragedy occurred. In Subhash Kumar versus State of Bihar, the Supreme Court basically ruled that when you say right to life under Article 21, it also means to have access to clean air and clean water. Number 4, rights. Justified claim or entitlement for a minimal good life. What do you mean by rights? It is your justified claim or entitlement. Means I deserve it. It's my right. That is, I deserve this thing. Simply because I'm a human being. If I'm a human being, I deserve this. That's it. That is what you mean by entitlement. You're entitled to means you deserve it. So every human being deserves what? Rights. Earlier, rights, when you used to say, these were called natural rights, which basically was based on divinity principle. That means only some people can become kings. Why? Because they're born in the king's family. But that concept changed now, and today we have come down to the modern concept, which is human rights, which is again enshrined through the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the international agency, United Nations. Legal rights and states. Government plus legal backing. That is, whatever legal rights also you talk about, it is backed by what? By the government as well as by the law. So if my rights are violated, in India, if my fundamental rights are violated, I can directly approach the Supreme Court under Article 32. My fundamental rights are first of all written down in the Constitution. Nobody can take it away from me except under certain circumstances. In case if my fundamental right is violated, I can approach the Supreme Court under Article 32. Rights, when you talk about, there are political rights, socio-economic rights, cultural rights. Political rights, as we have already seen, simply means your right to vote, citizenship, participation in election, all of that. Socio-economic rights, when you talk about it, is basically what? To ensure social equality, economic equality. Opportunities, in terms of access to opportunities, employment, job, profession, school, college admission, everything. Cultural rights, when you talk about your right to protect your identity, your language, your religion, your culture, your food habits, your dressing style, all of that. Together, all of these are necessary for the complete progress of a human being in any society. Clear? Moving on. Rights and responsibilities goes together. You cannot say that I only want rights, but I will not have any responsibility. No. And to put rights and responsibilities, when you put it together, what does it mean? Simply means everybody's well-being is a concern here. Well-being of everyone. Number 2, respecting others' rights. Respecting other people's rights. Number 3, balancing conflicting rights. That means, let us say now, say for example, many a times it happens. You would have seen this paparazzi culture also. That is, many, people with their mobile phone, they'll start shooting the moment they see a celebrity. Sometimes it is that the celebrity has invited them there. But other times you can see purposefully a photo is taken at a low angle, maybe of an actress. Or when an actress is busy adjusting her wardrobe, they take a photo and then they make a video out of it, or they click it and they put it in social media platform, or sometimes some newspapers itself use it. Getting the point here? So, you are doing what there? Right to freedom of speech and expression. Correct? You are right. You have every right to put out your ideas out there, your thought, your belief out there. But similarly, that actress also has the right to what? Right to privacy. So, it is a balance between these two. Where does your fundamental right to express things starts and where does it end? That needs to be understood. That is a responsibility of every citizen. Last one, restriction on rights. Some restrictions can be placed. That is, no fundamental right, like I have told you earlier, is absolute. Reasonable restrictions can be placed on it. Immanuel Kant basically talked, when he talks about rights, he talks about two things here. Treat others as you would like to be treated. Very good point. That is how you would like to be treated, with respect. Then treat others also with respect. First point. Second point is what? Treat everyone as ends, not as means. Means, that sentence simply means, don't use an individual to achieve something. Don't use people. Don't make friends because they are powerful, because they are rich, or because they have a government job. Treat everybody equally. Respect on the basis of pure merit. Respect them because they are all human beings, not because they carry utility, not because they carry some value. Got the point here? Nationalism. Nationalism, when you talk about, it can be linked with patriotism, patriotic symbols, or even self sacrifice. Nationalism, again, when you talk about, it can either create strong loyalties versus deep hate. As we can clearly see these days in the news and all, the moment you start criticizing the government, immediately the next sentence that comes out is what? You are a Pakistani, go to Pakistan. And like I told you, in a democracy, you need debate, you need discussion. Without that, there is no point. Nationalism, as an idea, started with the unification of small kingdoms first. That is, small kingdoms which were there back in those good old days, earlier, even before World War I and all, they started uniting first. After that, disintegration of major empires, that is king's rule. The Russian Tsar gave way to what? Communist Party taking power. So like that, everywhere, the king's rule slowly changed into what? Popular rule. Popular rule means people's rule. That is how the idea of nationalism started to emerge. And what do you mean? So nationalism is obviously associated with the idea of nation. Correct? Or with regard to a nation only, you have that sentiments, patriotism, patriotic symbols, all of that. So then what is a nation? Nation means they have shared beliefs. There are many beliefs what they share. Like in India, if you take one belief is what? Tolerance. Tolerance to another culture. History. We all have a common history. Territory. The Indian subcontinent's territory. Shared political ideals, which is basically democratic. Common political identity. We are all having a common political identity. There are certain do's and don'ts. Whichever party it is, there are a certain set of do's and don'ts which has to be followed by all the political parties in our country. Pro-poor policies, pro-development, pro-employment, strengthen the defense. These things, it is non-negotiable. Correct? Moving on. After World War II, one culture, one state emerged. That is ethnic homogeneity. That means people of a similar culture coming together and forming a nation with a very less minority there. This idea started after World War I. And then later the same idea paved way for what? Globalization. Globalization means mixing again. Free movement of goods, services and human beings. So Indians settling in USA, becoming US citizens there. Or maybe Indians settling in Europe, becoming European citizens of those respective countries, or settling in Australia, becoming Australian citizen. All these are what? Part of globalization. What is not mentioned in your NCERT compilation book or even in your NCERT text is, now globalization has moved on to protectionism. Last week, etc., for those of you who have followed the paper, you would have known that in Ireland, racial attacks against Indians are increasing. Very recently, a small girl was attacked, around 6 or 7 years old. She was attacked, she was kicked. She was kicked in her neck as well as in her private area. She was kicked. She was pushed to the ground and she was kicked by older boys, older children. 13, 14-year-old teenage boys were kicking her. And why they were kicking her? Only because she was an Indian. So everywhere you can see this protectionism culture is increasing. USA doesn't want any more immigrants coming in. Europe doesn't want any immigrants coming in. Everybody is slowly shutting their border. So you can see how nationalism is evolving. The idea of a nation is evolving. Then, what do you mean by autonomous regions within a place? Autonomous region. That is, autonomous regions means these autonomous simply means independent. These are regions within a country that have a certain set of freedom to run their own affairs. In majority of the things, state will not interfere in these regions. Say for example, we have such regions where in Northeast. We have such places in Northeast where state will not interfere. They have their own laws, they have their own district councils, etc. Similarly, you have Gram Sabhas also in our country. In majority of the matters, we will not interfere with their way of doing things. Globalization, today the debate is pluralism versus nationalism. Today, that is the debate. Should we become a pluralistic society or should we just confine ourselves to our nation based on ethnicity alone? Got the point here? Just a little bit of Tagore here. Humanity as true foundation. Tagore basically talked about humanity as true foundation. He opposed Western imperialism, rejecting Western civilization. Constructive. What does it mean? That means he simply said, so always the tussle was between. He differentiated what it means to oppose Western imperialization and reject Western civilization. He differentiated. Western imperialism we know, colonialism, we have to oppose it outrightly. What about rejecting Western civilization? He said, listen, entirely don't copy whatever they are doing, but take their education, learn from them, whatever is needed, what is suited, or what will make our country better, that you take from them. The rest of it, ignore it. Got the point here, people? Secularism. No domination based on religion. That is what secularism simply means. That is, they are not going to allow any domination based on religion, either intra or inter. Intra means within the religion. They will not allow anybody, any one community to dominate. Inter means they will not allow any one religion to dominate the other religion. That is the true meaning of secularism. Avoids theocracy. That is, religion being used as an excuse to rule the state. For case in point being Pakistan, theocratic state. You criticize anything which is criticize Islam or something there, guaranteed you are going to get the death penalty or death punishment. Bangladesh is also right now thinking to remove the word secular from their constitution and declare itself as a completely Islamic country. Got the point here? Religious neutrality. That is what secularism advocates. Non-interference by the state. State will not interfere in personal religious matters. Prevent discrimination between religions. All the religious communities will be supported equally. Then you have American secularism and French secularism. American secularism clearly means only one thing. Stay completely away from religious matters. Politics and religion is completely separated out. French secularism goes one more step ahead. French secularism also tells the same thing. Religion and politics, let us keep it separate. But, so these things what I am wearing now, these threads or even this kada, I cannot wear it inside France in a public space. If I am planning to wear it also, I should not display it openly. Open display of religious symbols is not allowed in France. That is, they are literally kept it out. In USA, that is not the case. USA, you can wear all this. Symbols, all that you can have. But in France, completely out. You keep your religion at home. That is what they are telling. When you are entering into a public space, we are not going to entertain any religious symbols. Got the point here? Moving on. Indian secularism protects minority rights. Reforms will be there, which is supported by the state. It is a positive engagement. Positive engagement means we support all the religion. Diverse historical and religious landscape is what we witness in India when it comes to Indian secularism. No doubts about it. Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Jainism, all these religions, if you see, has got a history in our country, including Parsis, Jews, all these. They have their own history here. Coming to Western secularism, the focus is largely on individual rights, not on religion there. They are very passive on reforms. That is, generally they will not interfere anything with regard to religion. And they follow a hands-off approach. Strict separation of state or politics from religion. Religious homogeneity. That is, even though they talk about individual rights, everything, they generally try to follow a religious homogeneity. That means, if you currently see the trend also, there is an increased preference for what? The white American Christian in USA. That is homogeneity. That is the base from which they derive their principles of secularism. Getting the point here. They don't actually entertain diversity. You take USA, take Europe. You have very less diversity there. Diversity have started coming now. Why? Because people have started traveling to those countries. That is why there is diversity. Otherwise, originally, if you see, there was no diversity in Europe. There was no diversity even in USA. They all believed in what? One religion, one country. That's it. So, some struggle is bound to happen in Western nations because of the influx of immigrants coming in. Different cultures coming in, different religion coming in. What are the similarities between Western and Indian secularism? There is neutrality and some element of separation. True, because we follow neutrality. There is separation of politics and religion. Ideally, we are not supposed to even go and take votes in the name of religion. Ideally, what is practiced at ground level, we all know. Favor wealthy and the powerful. That is there. In both the countries, when you talk about secularism, also, ultimately the wealthy and powerful individuals within a religion, there is a favoritism towards them. Why? Because it is a vote bank. What are the criticisms of Indian secularism? It is often called as anti-religious because you support all the religions equally. It is generally considered as anti-religious, which is not true again. They call this an imported idea from the West. Because we are more of a spiritual society, they say that this is all about individualism. Secularism focuses on individualism rather than on the society. But no, it is not again an imported idea. Why? Because we have always been a tolerant society. Historically, so many people came here, agreed. Invaders came here, Christians came here. What is it? Muslim invaders, when you talk about, that is Delhi Sultanate or Mughals came here. But they all came, they settled, and we adopted and adapted ourselves to those cultures. Christian missionaries also who came here, we adapted and adopted it. So secularism is always there in our blood or in our history, even before we added the word secular in our constitution. Got the point? Minoritism. Often it is said that the secularism word has been misused to actually support only minority communities in our country. Well, if you look at the facts again, religious minority when we talk about, Muslim community has the worst outcome when it comes to health, education. Worst outcome. Under all the religions if you take, they have the worst outcomes. That is health-wise, education-wise, their outcome is the worst. When you're talking about caste minorities, SC and ST is worst. And if you compare SC, ST and Muslims in terms of their health outcome and education outcome, Muslims are only slightly better off than the SC, ST community. If we call ourselves a welfare state, then what should we do? On the basis of principles of equity, we are supposed to bring up those communities which are backward, especially in terms of health and education. Interventionist. State, ultimately in the name of secularism also, state tries to intervene in certain religious matters. Certain matters, they try to intervene. But again, it is not true. Intervention is necessary wherever other individual freedom or fundamental right is being affected. State has to intervene. It has led to vote bank politics, which is true, but vote bank politics is there even in the name of caste. So that has largely to do with our society. That is we. If the people continue to vote for a candidate based on their religion or their caste, you can't blame the constitution or even our government for it. We are the reason for poor quality of legislators or MPs or MLAs being elected to the parliament or the state legislative assembly. Clear? Last is, it is an impossible project. It is very difficult to actually implement secularism in our country because people by nature are religious. And whoever is religious, very religious I'm talking about, can easily become what? Communal. And once you become communal, you will become what? Intolerant. That is the point. There is nothing wrong in being religious. But religious you should be, along with tolerance you should have. If these two are there, then yes, it is not an impossible project. So finally, let us summarize it. These are the main topics that we saw: polity, politics, political theory, government, freedom, negative liberty and positive liberty, equality, political, social and economic, social justice, rights, nationalism, and finally, secularism. All right, people. With that, we come to an end of our very first chapter. I know I have taken it very slow and very gradual because it's your first class. From the second chapter onwards, slowly we will pick up the speed. All right. So any queries, any comments, any suggestions, please put it up in the chat section. Otherwise, also, you can reach out to me here in this Telegram channel. You can scan this QR code. All right. So let's call it a day. All the very best, people. Take care. God bless.